Welcome back to another recording of the Elevate Media Podcast. I'm Chris Anderson, your host, and today we're going to be talking about risk and how we can take risk while we're starting our business to do it well and not take too big a risk, but risks enough to get things going because there is risk involved. So we brought on an expert. He's also a lawyer, so I'll watch what I say. No, just kidding. He is a first-generation American, devoted husband and father, and the founder of one of Southern California's fastest-growing personal injury law firms, built from scratch with faith, grit, and a few Craigslist finds. So, Lem Garcia, welcome to the Elevate Media Podcast today.
Hey, Chris, thank you for having me. It's great to be here.
Yeah, absolutely. Super excited to talk about this risk of, building a business because it does come with that. So like I mentioned, you've built one of the most respected law firms, injury law firms in SoCal. But it didn't start that way, right? Take us back to 2014 in those early days of trying to start your own law firm.
Yeah, so 2014 started out just me in the office trying to figure it out. I never had any experience building a business, kind of a new lawyer. I passed the bar just maybe like 2 years before opening my practice. And yeah, I would have to say that it was pretty nerve-wracking, knowing that I have to pay the rent and try to find a way to get clients in the door. But I just thought, you know what, if I just commit myself 100%, I think I could figure it out.
Yeah. And I think that's one of the biggest things is like just taking that leap, right? And like just taking the risk and taking that action to get started and get that momentum slowly churning. I mentioned Craig at the beginning because I believe in your bio, you had some stories involving Craigslist, furniture, and family support. Can you dive into that a little bit?
Yeah, I mean, to start, my wife and I, we were in debt. We had a lot of student loan debt. We were both lawyers, and we were just saddled with over $100,000 in student loan debt. So we didn't have much money, but we did have immense support with our family. We were living with my parents at the time. And I just needed to make sure that the place was furnished. So where else do you turn to get good deals? You go to Craigslist and see what people have on there. And, they wanted more than I paid, but we negotiated and then just like, hey, this is all we got. Just a couple $100. And they said, yeah, let's do it. Because, they want to get rid of it too, right? So just made the deal and started off furnishing the office with that. And just really just scratching and making sure that we use every dollar as efficiently as we can to start.
Yeah, and I think I brought that up because I thought it's a good testament to like making it work and not necessarily having to have the very best or the brand new things all the time, and being creative with solving the problem, right? And kind of taking that risk and putting yourself out there. First generation American, I think, right? First person in your family born in the U.S. Son of immigrants, if I'm correct on that part.
Yeah.
How did that influence kind of that work ethic that, solve the problem, figure it out, make it happen, take that risk? How did that influence you?
My mom was a business owner. She had her own hair salon. And cool. I saw them from the age, I think 4 years old, when I saw my parents build her hair salon. And my dad went and built it up, put all the chairs, the mirrors, the flooring. And from the beginning, I saw what it took for them to build their business. And then I just always took that and I said, I'll just apply that same kind of, just pick yourself up and build something. And you have no one else to turn to. You have to figure it out on your own. Just do whatever it takes, read the books, talk to whoever you can talk to, check everything off the list. And I think if you do all those steps, you'll figure it out eventually. The information is out there and people are willing to help.
Yeah, I think, the big thing is just not quitting, right? You can never beat someone who doesn't give up, who keeps going. So your heritage is, you're from the Philippines, right? Your family from the Philippines. So do you see that a lot in that culture of just that work ethic, like in general, or was it just kind of more your family?
I think there's definitely an immigrant mentality for Filipinos that come to America where we have to figure it out and we have to work hard and we just have to make sure that we do everything that's necessary to succeed and really also be frugal in your spending and make sure that you're not spending your money on anything luxurious or extravagant,
Sure.
just the basics and have that covered. And yeah, I applied that to the business too.
Okay. I think that's a good thing, especially with social media. Like we see all the highlight reels, right? And we think we have to have certain things or do certain things a certain way. But for you, um, you kind of dive into you had something going before law, right? That was like kind of a good thing, and you kind of pivoted. I believe you're a photographer, right?
Yeah.
Previously.
So before law school, I was a legal assistant and I was also working as a photographer for the Los Angeles Clippers
Oh,
because I wanted to be a photographer. I love journalism. I love photography. I love basketball. And it was just kind of like all those things all at once.
yeah.
And while I was there, the job became a job in the end.
Right.
And I think
Okay.
I learned a lesson that everything, ultimately, no matter how much you love it, everything becomes work.
Yep.
Everything becomes a job in the end.
Yeah.
So then I pivoted. I said, let me find a way to help more people and make more of a change in the world, and also, of course, make more money so that I
Yeah.
can provide for my family in the future.
And I think that could be a tough pill to swallow, right? Like, oh, man, I love that. That's my passion, but yeah, I kind of am not liking the future that this will hold. Like, it kind of is monotonous or whatever it is to shift to a more instead of self-centered of like I like this to what can I do that can serve more people that I can enjoy still that will provide. I think is a huge thing. So when you did that, when you walked away from that photographer job with the Clippers, you didn't have much, right? You had, a positive mindset. To start your own firm had to be pretty scary, right?
Yeah, starting my own firm back then was very scary. Like I said, I had no experience, didn't have money, and I did not know what was to come. I just knew I had to find a way. And I think, yeah, when your back is against the wall and you have to find a way out, you have to make it work. And you're doing everything possible to make it work. You're reading all the books, you're talking to all the people, and you're putting in the work from morning until night, and it's never enough time. And I just invested all of my time, energy, money into getting it off the ground. And I think that's the hardest part of a business is getting it off the ground. It's like
Yeah.
trying to fly an airplane. It takes so much energy to get that plane off the ground, and you have to just keep on ascending. And then finally, when you do reach a certain height, you can kind of just glide,
Yeah.
right? But the beginning is really, really tough and scary. I mean, same thing with the flight.
Yeah. And I like to preference like, yes, the risk of starting something, not knowing if it'll succeed or if it'll fail, it can be daunting, right? But if you truly like expand your view of it all, like what is the actual risk, right? Maybe you get in a little bit of debt, maybe you get the pain of like having to say, yeah, like that failed, the embarrassment kind of thing, but like it's not going to kill you, right? So the risk, if we can look at it at a bigger viewpoint, isn't really necessarily. We make it a bigger deal than I think it really should be, right?
Definitely. I think that's because like you alluded to it, like we're social creatures and we do not want to fail, because if we fail, then maybe we'll become, an outcast or pariah or embarrassed in our community for all the people that saw us fail.
Yeah,
But ultimately, like they say, the biggest risk is not taking any risk at all. Because if you don't take the risk, you don't take the shot, you'll never make the shot. And you'll
yep,
never, have your dreams come true. You'll never succeed or accomplish what you want to accomplish if you don't take that risk. So taking the risk is really not that much of a risk at all. And if you fail, I mean, you fail because no one was paying attention to you anyway. So like, who even knows that you're failing?
right. That's a good point. Yeah, no one's even paying attention anyways. That's good. I like that. So, do you remember a point as you're building your law firm that you were like, maybe this is gonna fail, maybe this is not gonna work? Did you ever have that kind of moment of like this, like make it or break it? Like I don't know, like this is crazy.
I mean, really, I think that doubt is always there. You just
Yeah,
never know what's going to happen. But the first 6 months to a year was really difficult because there wasn't money coming in. And I mean, personal injury, we don't get money until, maybe 6 months to a year after we even get the
Wow.
case. And I have
Okay.
to keep I have to keep the firm afloat while working on these cases. And then are we going to continue to get cases? So the first 6 months to a year was hard. But then after I saw the first couple of checks come in, I said, you know what, this is going to work out. I'm going to figure this out. Just need to get more of these cases and more reviews, get positive reviews online, build a reputation. Like it's just going to go up from here.
Yeah. So how did you find was your best avenue, or what your best avenue was of bringing in more business? Because I mean, there's different pathways to do it, different ways to go about it. What did you find worked well for you to bring in new clients?
What worked the best for me was local SEO. And in 2014, nobody was really focusing on getting reviews for their business. And it was just kind of a new thing where people say, oh, people are shifting to the cell phone to look up businesses. They're not using computers. They're using their cell phone. They're not using the white pages. It was still kind of new compared to where it is today. So I like, everyone's already glued to their phones. Everyone's going to be on the cell phone looking up businesses. And it's like, now we look, 2025, like, of course, like everyone knows that. But in 2014, it wasn't as obvious as it is now. So I just focused on the local SEO, getting reviews, doing a good job for clients. And that really that was a huge factor in just getting me ahead of the people in the area.
So you had that social proof there that people could find when they searched you.
Yeah, the social proof of people, if they searched for a car accident lawyer in the area, or they looked up my name because they found me somewhere else, someone referred me over, they would say, oh, like, yeah, he has the most reviews. Oh, he has great reviews, more than more than other people in the area, or even farther. So yeah, it's really important. I mean, you can brag about yourself, but it means 100 times more when someone else is bragging about you.
Absolutely. Yeah. I think it's super crucial to have those testimonials, those examples of what other people have experienced for people to go to. Because as we're building this, like, there's risk for people wanting to work with us or be our clients, so if we can mitigate some of that or make it less risky, I think that's important. But even along our business journey, like after starting, like we mentioned, starting is a huge risk. Like, you're taking that risk, betting on yourself, now, right, for you, almost 11 years later, what are some risks that you still have to navigate, or that you are navigating, being so seasoned in your business?
So I don't know how familiar you are with the personal injury space, but it's extremely competitive. So there's always somewhat a new office starting a business. There's always the bigger guys just spending more money, or the smaller guys, everyone just spending more money. So in turn, we have to spend more money too.
Gotcha.
We're always looking every month at the advertising. How much are we spending? How much does it cost? What's increasing? Where else do we need to put advertisements? How else do we reach out to our previous clients to make sure that they remember us because they had an accident a while ago? Then we need to stay top of mind. And all that costs money. And we have to make sure that, are we spending the money in the right place? And if we do spend the money, like, is there going to be a return on that investment? So and it's just getting more and more expensive, like daily. Like, it just I just increased my budget for like, let's say I increased my budget for Yelp, and I'm like, I go on and I check it out and I say, oh, our ads aren't even showing up anymore. And it's because all the other firms are increasing their budget and increasing the cost per click. And before you know it, your advertising budget is spent in a week.
Jeez. So you find paid ads are doing well for you, but the budgets are just continuing to increase.
Yeah, it's like a big game of chicken with these other firms. Everyone's just spending, and they say, okay, let's just price them out. They're going to stop spending, and then when the smaller firms stop spending, then their price per click goes down, and like, okay, now we're back to normal. So it's really like, okay, how long can you
push out the little guy kind of thing? Yeah. So if you didn't have the ad budget, what would be your direction to grow?
Yeah, and if you don't have the ad budget, that's all right. You can still figure it out. I mean, there's so many avenues where you can just get attention for free. Either Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. You just create something there. and you can post for free. Just if you want, you just flood it. Just
Yeah.
keep on posting, and that's free attention. You have to have the time to create the content,
Yep.
and that doesn't take much time if you're willing to put yourself out there. You just get the camera and you face it to yourself and say something, say thank you, say why you're the best, or whatever
Yeah.
angle, how you can help. And that's what I would do if I didn't have an ad budget. I would create just a bunch of free content and provide value to people. I tell them what they can do after an accident or
Yeah.
whatever they're looking for, just the most Googled terms, most Googled questions, just answer those questions for them.
Yeah. 100%. And I think you get on something right there for any business. Like, go to Google, type in some keywords, see what questions pop up that people are searching, because those are going to be the top hits. And then create YouTube videos around that. Because then YouTube is the second biggest search engine. So people are going to be like, hey, how do I, go about, I had an injury in a car accident. Like, what do I need to do? Or what are the steps? And you have a video, it's going to pop up. Because now with AI too, you talk about SEO searches. You
Yeah.
talked about SEO searching earlier.
Yeah.
Now you got, AI
Yeah.
optimization stuff where it's filtering through and pulling things up. And so it pulls out a video. So yeah, I mean, you can do that free, which is great.
Yeah, if you're starting out, whatever business you're at, you have time to play with the Chat GPT and AI tools. I think you might be even in a better position than someone that has a business already,
Yeah.
because you get to find out what those tools are and leverage it, versus someone like where you have a business established, like me. Like, I don't have time to play with those things right now.
Right.
But somebody that's up and coming that's gonna figure it out, they might be able to create hundreds of pieces of content in a second, and then before you know, it's like, oh, now I have to catch up.
Yeah. It's crazy and it's, everything comes pros and cons. And so social media, AI, used as a positive tool, great. And so, yeah, if you're just starting out and you don't have the ad budget, because I think too, you have to know your market before you really push out ads as well to make it worth your dollars. So, but it's such a continuously evolving thing. And we'll see how AI continues to shift the business and marketing side of things as we go. But with that too, like, we're both fathers, right? We both have kids. That changes our, how we lead our households too, right? So how do you go about doing that? How do you balance, or I hate balance, not really, there's no balance. How do you harmonize, growing a business with being present in your family's lives?
I mean, that's the eternal question. I think it's finding that balance as a business owner and as a parent. So I have 3 young girls, and they, my family needs my time and attention, and I want to be there for them for all the big moments. And you also have the office that's always calling, always beckoning, doesn't care what time of day it is, day or night. There's always some kind of fire to put out. And I don't know if I really have necessarily an answer for it. You just have to accept the situation, really, that both will always be calling for you. And when you're doing one, you do that 100%. And when you're doing the other, you do that 100%.
Yeah.
But I don't mean like if you're with the kids, you don't work at all. Maybe when they're biking around in circles, then you could check your phone and answer some emails.
Right.
I mean, right?
Yeah.
Or at work, if you're on a break, like, you can pay attention to what the family needs, and book flights or book hotel room, or whatever it is that you need to do as a parent. Catch up when you have a moment, right? And I think it's just something else has to give in your life. So your hobbies and your other passions, you probably will need to give up on those a little bit. Like, I love basketball, I love watching it, playing it, and that is, I have to give that up.
Yeah.
A bit. I'm not playing or watching as much as I used to. Now I just watch highlights versus I used to watch games.
Yeah.
Right. I used to go play games, and now I just shoot around for a minute or two. And that's kind of, I think, how you find balance between work and life, is that everything else goes to the wayside a bit.
Yep. Yeah. And that's kind of like I like the word harmony, because like balance, I think of scale. And so like some things weigh more than others on the scale. So you have to kind of balance it out. And so what is that? But harmony is like, I think music, how do you get all these melodies, in your life, to kind of just mesh and create something beautiful that, you and everyone else can enjoy. And, Yeah, I mean, I got 2 young boys. We're about to have a third in October. And so it's like, yeah, just like continuously, you know, shifting and pivoting and, finding the harmony with everything is a challenge in itself, right? So what do you want, you talked about, you had your daughters. Um, as an entrepreneur, what do you want them to see and learn from you on this journey?
I would like my girls to see that hard work pays off.
Good.
Because a lot of times they see things that are hard and they say, well, and they want to give up. They don't
Right.
want to push through. They say,
Mhm.
oh, well, I don't want to do that because it's hard. Like I like volleyball, I like basketball, I like tennis, but it's hard. And I'm
Yeah.
like, yes, things that are rewarding, things that are cool, they're hard, and that's
Yeah.
what makes them rewarding. That's what makes them cool. So if you go through the fire, you go through the difficulty, you make the sacrifices, you're disciplined, like there is going to be that payoff in the end if you are committed and that you show that you're doing this on a daily basis. Like there is going to be that reward and that pot of gold, like whatever it is, goals that you have,
Yeah.
you can achieve those things through just, I mean, really simple, just hard work, discipline, and sacrifice.
Yeah. I like that you added. Dang it, got to build that character in them, right? That they don't shy away from the hard thing, and that they can take their own, calculated risks in life. But with that comes some struggle, and that's just part of it, right? It's not going to be easy. It wasn't meant to be easy, uh, but it was meant to be, enjoyed still and impactful and, beautiful, right? Uh,
Yeah,
and so,
definitely. Yeah.
yeah, I love that. And I love just your story and your journey that you've been through. And, um, here at the end, I'd love to just go through some rapid fire kind of questions to see your answer for this. Um, outside of starting your law firm, what is one risk you took that paid off big?
Introducing myself to my wife.
All right. Nice. How did that
Yeah.
go? What was that introduction like?
It was a bit nerve wracking. So we were at the gym. I was on the treadmill,
Oh, yeah, that is a big one.
and then she goes up next to me. I didn't know her at all. And,
Okay.
she goes next to me on the treadmill next to me, and she puts a book down on the treadmill, and it's like a study guide for the bar exam.
Oh, wow.
And I'm like, wow, I have to say something.
Right. Yeah.
I just think I said, "Oh, are you studying for the bar exam?" And that's how it started.
That's so cool. That's awesome. And taking that moment, like out of all the gyms and all the treadmills in the world, she stepped into that one, like,
And went right next to me. Yeah, it
yeah,
was really
exactly.
just a gift. Like, it was like, wow, I have to say something. Like,
That's cool.
and by the way, there were like 10 treadmills, and they were
Open.
all open.
That's
So
awesome. That's so cool. That's great. I love it. Next one. A book, quote, or scripture that's guided you along your journey.
I would say that the Bible, this too shall pass. That's a huge one that, I don't have it like on the wall or anything,
Yeah.
but I find myself turning to that when something has gone wrong for me.
Yeah.
And if I'm feeling sad or depressed or anxious, it's like, okay, there's a huge problem facing me, but with time, this will pass. So there's that just assurance that I know that whatever it is that I'm going through will be over at some point.
I love that. Yeah. Anything, yeah, all storms have to end, right? But like even with that, like all good stuff comes to an end too, right? That will pass. And so being able to be in the moment and enjoy it because
That's a
it's
good point. That's
over.
an excellent point.
Yeah.
Yes. And that makes you just appreciate whatever it is that's in front of you. Like this is gonna come to an end.
Yeah.
So just enjoy it, or just appreciate every moment, whatever's in front of you, good, bad, or indifferent. Just appreciate it because it's not going to
Yeah.
be there forever.
Yeah. I love that quote too. So that's awesome you brought that up. What's one thing you wish more business owners understood about risk?
That risk is the barrier to success.
Mm.
It's the cost of admission,
Yeah.
really. Like you have to take the risk if you want to succeed. And that's it's just a necessity. Like if you don't take risk, you're not going to be able to scale your business or grow your business the way you want. And that's what prevents people from taking the next step.
Yeah, I love that. That's a good one. And the last one, what's God been teaching you lately?
What's God been teaching me lately?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. I don't know if I could rapid fire this one.
That's all right.
What's a lesson recently that recently I've just been really grateful for everything and talking to him more.
Yeah.
Just expressing my gratitude for everything as much as I can. And I don't know what verse there is or that expresses that, but I'm aware that, in my prayers that I'm always just expressing gratitude for everything. Like just even if it's something that is that I view is bad or something that's not something that I like, I
Right.
still see it as like, okay, thank you for this opportunity for me to overcome this challenge.
Yeah. I love that. And we were just talking in our small group, we're in a couple small group at church, and we were talking, and they asked the question, one of the individuals said, how well do you celebrate what God is going to do? Like how many times or how well do you just kind of celebrate even in the midst of a storm or, unknown, like celebrating, like actually like verbally, like say something about like, whatever you're about to do, like super excited, or I know you're going to be doing something great, even though I don't know what it is, and like actually celebrate that moment. And it was and it's just crazy. That same day, I was like, man, I literally just like kind of had like a fist pump moment with God. I was like, man, like, I don't know what you're about to do, but like, there's just so much that you're working through all of this stuff, to better, your kingdom and things and using me. It was just like a kind of moment. And I think that was an interesting question. And, but I love the gratitude part too, like of just being grateful for whatever it is, the lesson, the learning, or the good stuff that he gives. I think that's a really cool thing to kind of put out there and teaching you.
Yeah, I think it really helps just centering yourself and reducing any kind of anxiety that you might have.
Yeah.
And just feeling fulfilled and just being happy.
Yeah.
Because it's just, if you're grateful for whatever is being given to you, then how can you not be fulfilled and happy?
Absolutely. So, well, Lem, this has been fantastic. I really enjoyed talking to you on this episode, and all the, insight you've given your journey and about risk and how it's necessary. If people want to get connected to you or just learn or see what you're doing on social media, where's the best place for them to go to connect with you?
My Instagram at Lem Garcia Law. You can email me lem at lemgarcialaw.com. That's the best way.
Awesome. So yeah, if anyone, is out there listening, get connected with Lem, just see what he's doing, support him. And if you need an injury lawyer and you're in the area or even not, reach out to him. But again, Lem, thanks so much for being on the Elevate Media podcast today.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. And if you're listening to this and you haven't yet, make sure you go follow the show. It just allows us to get these episodes in front of more people to help and make a bigger difference in the world. But until next time, continue to go out there, elevate your life, elevate your brand, and we'll talk to you again soon.